There we are. Let's see if I can get this internet to work. There we go. Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. It is Friday. Thank God it's Friday. It's time for the weekend, and I just thought I'd pop on. We had a question that came in, and I figured let's answer it live. Why not? If we have the opportunity to talk to each other, I'm trying to use my iPad here, so I'm gonna go a little bit higher up. Let's do this. And you can tell me if you can see me or not, because I feel like it's really low. Okay, and hopefully this thing is not gonna come crashing down on me. There we go. That's not heavy enough. I don't want this to fall off the table. Okay, there we go. Okay. So we had a question, and the question came in, and you guys have been posting some really great questions. Yeah, it's a beautiful day. Oh my God, thank God. Yeah, Kaylee, finally we have some cool weather and we can open the doors, and it's been such a hot summer. It was disgusting, humid, and so I've had the air conditioner on for months. So it's really nice. It's a beautiful day here. No more rain, thank God. And so, yeah, I'm looking forward to the weekend, and I think it's going to be nice all weekend. Kaylee, where are you from? Where's everybody from? Is it nice where you guys are? How's the weather? Did you come here to talk about the weather? I don't think so. Let's talk about this question. Let's talk about this question. Actually, this is a good question, and I thought it's kind of a unique thing that I really haven't discussed, but it encapsulates some other concerns that a lot of people have. So the question came in from Lucy. Here we go. Ohio, Pennsylvania, storm tonight. Okay, I hope it's not coming my direction. The question came in from Lucy, and she said, hi, you were recommended by a friend. I have some nursing questions. My son is 8 weeks old, and nursing is still miserable. He had 4 mouth ties when he was born and that have been fixed, but it hasn't helped nursing. His latch feels much better on both my nipples. His latch feels much better, but both of my nipples are torn up and not healing. My son's pediatrician even told me not to nurse him on my right side because it makes me bleed every time, and he's swallowing too much blood, and that makes him sick. I feel like I've tried everything to help my nipples to heal, but nothing seems to be working. Do I have any suggestions? Thanks for my time. So yes, okay. 8 weeks in, sore bleeding nipples, nothing more miserable than that. And I can say, yeah, I totally get it. I had some very similar experiences with my first baby, with that soreness, and it's like you've got your milk, you want to enjoy breastfeeding, you want to put the baby to breast, and you're just looking forward to that really nice, wonderful experience that's not so wonderful, that just makes you want to cry every time you latch on. And I have so much compassion for that, because I was one of those people who just struggled. I just remember in the beginning crying every time she woke up and thinking, oh my God, I want to enjoy this, and I wasn't. So I just feel like not everybody experiences this, but if you are one of those people who is having an issue with nipple soreness, and bleeding, you really need to make something happen right away. And one of the things that she brought up was that the baby had 4 mouth ties. So I'm assuming tongue tie, lip tie, these were all corrected. And that would be one of the reasons why a baby would have be causing your nipples to be really sore, and incorrect latch. That could be a reason, and in this case sounds like it was. And even though the baby's been corrected and they've corrected the issue with the ties, it could be that the baby developed a suck that is not working for her nipples. So the baby needs some suck training. Okay, and so suck training is a real thing where the baby needs to learn how to suck properly. And it could be that the baby wasn't sucking properly because the baby's tongue was tied and is not lowering their tongue down or extending their tongue out enough when they're latching to the breast, or they're sucking their lips in. And so even though the anatomical issue has been corrected and the ties have been corrected, the poor suck may not have been. And so this is something that is perfect to go see a lactation consultant with, but you can also work on your baby's suck yourself too. One thing that I would probably consider doing is when the baby starts to look like they're hungry, showing feeding cues, starting to suck on their hands. Not too late where they're already crying, but at the point where they're actually just showing that they're waking up and starting to want to eat. You take the baby and you hold the baby in your hands and you insert your index finger into their mouth, and you want to insert it enough where it's like up to the first knuckle, not too far where the baby actually is gagging on your finger, but enough where they can feel it on their palate. So you're hitting their up to the point of their soft palate. Once you insert the finger, put a little gentle pressure upward so the baby feels your finger there and starts to suck on your finger. At that point, you want to kind of hold the baby's lip sort of down and look to see that the tongue is down at the floor of the mouth, okay? That their tongue is down at the lower jaw there, that their tongue is actually being extended out, and that it's wrapping around the finger. By pulling down slightly on their chin, that will help to bring the tongue down to the floor. And while the baby's sucking, you're going to train them to bring their tongue down, because this is one of those things that if there's been a tongue tie, the baby may be retracting the tongue. And so even though the issue is corrected, like I said, you will still see that the baby's not sucking well on your nipple, and your nipple is suffering for it. The other thing too is, so you do the suck training as soon as the baby starts sucking in a coordinated, what we could consider a coordinated way, where the tongue is down and in the right position, then you go ahead and latch the baby to your breast. So you do that, and it may take a few times of teaching the baby and working with the baby, but that's the way that you do some suck training. Now that's something that a lactation consultant who's knowledgeable at this will help you do as well. And you can work with somebody or give it a try yourself at first, see how that works. I think that the other thing to consider too is that once you've gone really far into breastfeeding where you're not working with, like, you don't have a good latch, whether it's from a tongue tie, a lip tie, or just improper positioning and latch from the beginning. Once your nipples are really sore, sometimes it can be really hard to reverse that. Because you're nursing so frequently. So even with a correct latch, and I know that people will say, well, with the right latch, there won't be any more soreness, but what happens when you already have that cut or that opening in the nipple or some kind of a crack or a fissure in the nipple? Every time it starts to heal and granulate the skin, you go to put the baby back on, and that initial latch can pull that open again, and so it just keeps reopening. Couple things you want to consider is, one, you want to express a little bit of breast milk and leave the nipple open to some air, okay, and put it on the nipple. Allow the nipple to heal in between the feedings. The other thing you could try is a good nipple cream with calendula, like the Earth Mama Angel Baby nipple butter, putting some of that onto the nipple to help heal. Calendula is awesome for healing the nipple. Also for healing a lot of things. You'll use it for your lips and your hands and everything. I still use nipple cream in my house, nipple butter. So when we have some kind of cut, I said to my daughter, go get the nipple butter. And she laughs. She's like, oh, Mom, you and your nipple butter. But we do use it a lot. And so putting it onto the nipple can really help. And sometimes nothing's going to help unless you just take a little bit of a break off that nipple. Now, you don't want to take a break off of expressing milk from the breast, but you may need to take a 24-hour period where you're just pumping on the one side, maybe feeding on the other, depending on if one nipple's worse than the other. Sometimes that little bit of a break with just the pump and not the baby latching gives the nipple enough time and the skin on the nipple enough time to heal up completely. This is all not going to work if you haven't gotten help to fix the latch or the initial issue that caused this. So whether it's the tie or a bad position or a bad latch, none of this is going to work until you fix that. But I'm talking about you've gotten the help, you've fixed the issue, but you're still suffering. That would be the place to start. I would say, getting a correct latch. Not always, some people can just, what's the best latch? What's the best way to latch? Obviously, you want the baby to be deep on the breast. The nipple needs to be really far back, in your baby's mouth. So the tip of the nipples, like way back, between where the hard and the soft palate meet. So you got to get a really nice deep latch onto the breast. Some people, you know, they just latch their babies. They do fine. The baby gets enough. They're never in pain. What's the big deal? The truth is, what's the big deal? There's nothing to change. If everything's working, there's nothing to change. It's when it's not working, or when the baby's not gaining, or the feedings are taking a really long time, or you're sore, or the baby's working really hard to try to get the milk out. That's when you really want to pay attention and make sure that your latch is good from the beginning. The best thing is to prevent this soreness rather than trying to fix it once it already happens. So my answer would be, you know, to Lucy's question was to do some suck training with the baby, considering all the ties, and then possibly work with a lactation consultant to do that, and then make sure that the latch is good, because something could be completely off that had nothing to do with the ties. Your nipples shouldn't still be bleeding, and if the skin's not healing, then there's something else going on. Kayla, your baby had 4 of your babies had a tongue and lip ties, yeah? Did you guys get it corrected? Because some people will ask me, do I have to correct it if there's no problem? And the answer to that is no. If the baby's doing okay, your baby's gaining weight, and you're not having a milk supply issue, depends on the extent of it, but not every tie needs to be corrected. So that's my answer to that question, and I hope this helped. I'm just sitting here at my desk. I have some work to do. And yes, it is a beautiful day like we talked about before, so I think I'm going to go enjoy it for a little while as well. I don't really get outside. The good thing about my new office, here, this is my new office. I just moved into this house, was it this summer? So it's only been about 2 months. We all moved at the same time. I moved in June. So I finally have this really beautiful office where I can be outside and inside at the same time. I have a nice glass door here, and it's all windows, and I'm just loving it so much. It's just fantastic, if you can see. Yes, it's a beautiful day. There's some construction stuff I have in the window there. And I also have a nice fireplace so that this winter, actually we'll do that in the family room, but when Jamie comes out, we do our regular chats here near the fire. So we'll have a really good time in our new home here. It's a contemporary house, so it's got like, it's kind of open with some skylights. So I love it because, you know, living in New Jersey, the worst part is the wind. Well, the best part, I love the winters, but being inside all those months, it could get you really depressed. And I know a lot of you live in areas where it's cold and we just don't get out enough. And with me and my job, where I'm home all day, and so are you guys, a lot of you, you know, it's like you just want to be at least looking outside. If I can't go outside, I want to at least be able to see outside. So yeah, this has been an awesome experience to move into our new home here. And yeah, thank you. I love it. I mean, this is the home that I've been waiting for all my life. So I'm just so super excited. It's not a new house, but it just has everything that I wanted. And I feel like I live in the woods. It's a nice street, but you cannot see into the house. So that's what I love. It's, yeah, I am not covering the windows. Definitely not covering these windows. These windows are going to stay open. I have a glass door there too, so I can step outside. Yeah. And you know what's great? I don't have to turn lights on. I don't have to turn the lights on. There's like so much light. See, there's a skylight. There's so much light in this house, so I don't have to turn lighting on, which is so nice. It wasn't so nice last week when we had like torrential rains here and the water was coming in the skylights. But when there's sun, it's super nice. Everybody walks in and goes, "Oh, you don't even have any lights on in this house." And I don't, like right now, no lights. So save electricity too. Anyway, hope that answered. Did anybody have any other questions that you can think of right now having to do with nipple soreness or anything that I can answer for you before we sign off? If you have a question related to latch or nipple soreness, I'd be happy to answer for you. We're going to do some like topics coming up. I think there's so much to talk about when it comes to breastfeeding, pumping, and so I think maybe what we'll do is kind of come up with some specific topics that we can discuss together Otherwise, I wind up throwing like all kinds of information over to you at the same time, and I know it can get overwhelming. But if anybody has any questions they want to ask me, I know you might be typing right now, so I'm going to give you a second to ask your question. And you're not looking forward to it come December when your baby comes, not looking forward to soreness. This is not a given. So let's just say this, you know, this whole idea of like it being painful, it's not always, okay, and there's another question. Okay. So it's not always that you're going to be sore. And I'll tell you, I don't know how many of you have watched my Simply Breastfeeding class, but in my class, I really talk about how to prevent nipple soreness so that you don't get this problem. One is to, I discuss like, you know, being able to latch the baby properly. So I go over the correct latch with you, which has to do with the way that their head is tilted, the direction that their eyes are looking, the position of how the baby is facing you rather than turning their head. A lot of it has to do with how you sit. And, you know, at some point what I can do is demonstrate for you how to sit in the chair properly. I talk about it when I discuss the back buddy, but because that's how you sit up straight and bring the baby to you. So all that positioning is going to help to not create soreness. The other thing is, and I have a whole chapter of this in my Simply Breastfeeding class as well, has to do with prolonged feedings. And I'm talking about keeping the baby on the breast for hours and hours at a time in those first like 2 or 3 days when you're feeding colostrum. And sometimes it's even with the most perfect latch, those very, very prolonged feedings, although they're not supposed to cause soreness, they do when you have a nipple that's just not used to all that sucking. So I do talk about very frequent short feedings in those first few days to get the colostrum out. The babies are usually really sleepy anyway, and those are the ways that I help to prevent soreness. And I find that my clients, my students, my patients, they do really well following my method, which is pretty different than what's out there. You know, what you read a lot is just let the baby eat as much as they want if they want to just stay on 24/7 in the beginning. And there are some babies who come out like that. That's fine as long as your latch is good. That has not been my experience with clients, and they do wind up sore. And I try to look at it long term, like, you know, what is the best thing for both mom and baby? Because if you become so sore that you can't latch 4 days, 5 days later, what good is it anyway if you're going to give up breastfeeding, or you're going to wind up exclusively pumping and not be able to go back to the breast? Or like Lucy wrote in that she's so sore she can't latch and the baby's getting all this blood. So these are some things you can do to help prevent it. And I recommend, if you're expecting, and I don't care if it's your second, your third, your fourth, your 10th baby, okay, I would get the class, Simply Breastfeeding, right on my website. You go to sharicriso.com. You could go to mybabyexperts.com and just order the class, and there's still 50% off for the rest of the month. The code is WBW50, and you can get 50% off. And if you have a friend who's expecting, very good present. It's a very good present. I'm going to answer Chelsea's question here she said it isn't related to soreness, but I will answer your question, Chelsea. She's saying she ate spicy food the other day and her 2-year-old spit up a lot all the next day. Can I never eat spicy? So typically spicy food is not going to make your baby spit up. And usually we don't see, personally, I don't see a lot of issues with eating a lot of spicy food. However, that being said, every baby's different. And so what I usually recommend is you eat it until you see that there's a total issue with it. If your baby's having an issue with it, and I don't think there's like a way to say, you know, just spicy in general. It could be a spice that you ate, maybe the baby reacted to, but even then I would try it again. It could just be a complete coincidence that, you know, you ate a lot of spicy food and then the baby was spitting up the next day. There's a difference between vomiting and spitting up, if the baby was sick, really gassy, or just spitting up. It could be that your baby was just gulping really fast. You could have just been coming off a growth spurt. There's so many other issues that could be happening where you have a lot of milk, a baby's gulping a lot, you're not burping enough, and then the baby's spitting up a lot or overeating at each feeding. So I wouldn't just cut out all the food that you love because you had one episode where the baby's spitting up. So that's my answer to that. If spicy food was an issue, and I say this all the time, then there's a lot of babies in this world where the cultures, all they eat are spicy food. They'd have a big problem. So that's typically not the issue. Okay, and let's see. May is asking a question. I'm not sure I understand your question, May. A lactation consultant told a friend that her milk supply should be with formula because one day she has a lot of milk and another day it got cut off. Okay, I'm assuming she's asking to supplement, but I have no idea what the question is. So if you want to post it again, I can answer it. I think we're going to say that's it for today. Post your questions right on my wall and try not to private message me, but put them right on the wall. And then I'm going to just pop on to answer them. And we will also include them in our live Q&As when we do our full Q&As, okay? Everybody have a great day. Good to see you. I'll see you all later. Bye.